Another week unbeaten for Inter Miami. The streak up to 9 without a loss, and it was 2 this past week. A draw against Orlando, a win against DC. We cover it all on this week's edition of the Inter Miami Weekly Show. Now, welcome into Chase Stadium, and we might have some company behind us tonight. Open training session tonight for the season ticket holders here at Chase Stadium. Happy to have you with us on this edition of the Weekly Show with Kieran Gibbs. I'm Joe Malfa. Kieran, let's not beat around the bush. It was a 2-match week. We've got a lot to cover, and let's get right into it with that first game, that 0-0 against Orlando, taking you to the highlights. Honestly, there wasn't a ton. There weren't many chances for either side. That's typical of a 0-0 draw, but it was nice to get through another game without a loss against a rival.
Yeah, it wasn't a classic, was it? It was more of a resilient performance. They were kind of locked horns, weren't they, for 90 minutes, and it was strange in a way because you don't really associate Miami with 0-0 draws at the moment. There's always goals and some drama, but yeah, it definitely wasn't one for the books. But it was a high intensity performance from both sides. They stayed strong defensively. They made sure they didn't lose, and they continue this unbeaten streak that they're on, that they've created, which is really positive for the boys.
And how important was it to have a night like this where they kept the clean sheet? Because it had been a while, not only of instances where they were conceding goals, but conceding goals early, 5 minutes in, 2 minutes in, 1 minute in that one case against New England. How important was it to keep the clean sheet for the confidence?
Really important, especially, the way that they've been conceding, especially the early goals at the moment. It was important to have a good start, especially in this derby game. You have to stay in the game as long as you can, and if you can't manage to get the goal, then you definitely don't concede. So definitely for the confidence, for the back four, goalkeeper, defensive midfielders, they definitely needed this.
Now, one issue, of course, in the past week on that back four, Nicolas Freire ends up with that torn ACL, so he ends up lost now for the season. That was just confirmed this week. Outside of that, all the news good on the back line as we take you into that DC United game then, where you talk about that back line once again holding strong. They had to for a while because the offense just didn't click. There were storms, there were downpours, but the back line once again holding strong. Drake Calendar coming up big, and it's really what you have to ask for from a group effort, right? How many times this year did the attack bail out the group? Now this time it was the back line bailing things out.
Yeah, and at some point you have to rely on the whole squad to step up. I think credit to DC, they put in a good performance. I think out of all of the games against Miami's strongest side, I would say this was probably the toughest one. It really came down to some moments of individual brilliance, especially from the likes of Drake Calendar and obviously Leo Campana's cameo, who I thought took his goal brilliantly.
Well, let's stop talking about it and let's go look at it. Those great saves from Drake Calendar, the goal in the end from Leo Campana, the highlights against DC. We spared you the monsoon. We kind of cut around it in the highlights here. We'll show you what happened before and what happened after, because during the monsoon, not a lot went on, Kieran. But although you did mention, as we were talking off air before we started this show, you do love playing in these conditions sometimes. It makes you look cool. You get some good photos out of it.
Yeah, you do, especially in the Miami weather. You never know what you're going to get. But yeah, there was some epic photos, weren't there? And it was another solid performance, really, from both sides. I think definitely Drake has stepped up for the boys on this one, and I'm sure he would have got a pat on the back from all of the boys. Like you say, you're not always going to be firing offensively, and you need to stay strong defensively, and they've certainly done that. This is what the boys want for rest of the season. If they want to stay up there, they're going to have to put in these kind of defensive performances.
And then when you have your number called upon, you just have to do what you need to do. Drake Calendar answered the bell late in this game, and Leo Campana more than answered the bell as well. He came on officially, the substitution, 90+3, and the goal officially goes in 90+4. That's instant impact.
Oh, yeah. And for me, it's all about the first touch on his left foot. I'll be honest, I didn't know he had this. I'll be totally honest. I didn't know he had this on the right foot, because sometimes it can go anywhere, especially when it's on your weaker side. But, I mean, look at this. How about the confidence to take that on the second touch? A player that hasn't played probably as much as he would like. but these are what the really good players do. They stay focused. They block out all of the noise. They concentrate on what they have to do, and he's won it for the team.
That was Leo Campana's first goal since March 16th against DC United. So anytime you play DC United, make sure Leo Campana gets out there so he can have his impact felt. But there's something to be said about that, right? We've talked all year long about the depth of this team and how over the course of a long year, you need people to step up when they're called upon. He hasn't been used as much lately. It is what it is. But when he gets an opportunity, less than 60 seconds, he gets a goal. That's massive for the psyche of a player like Campana to go on and earn more time now.
Well, it just shows character. It just shows character that he's, wants to impact games still. He's not, throwing his toys out of the pram. And I mean, at the same time, it's like, how can you? Because Suarez's form is pretty formidable at the moment. So, he has to stay focused and concentrated on himself. People will see he's only just come on for 60 seconds and scored, but actually he's been putting in the work in training every day for the last few weeks. It doesn't come as easy as that, even though that's what we see. He's a player that I know quite well, and he's dedicated to the game 100%. Really professional guy, and he deserves all the credit for this.
Yeah, I'll let you all in behind the curtain on this weekly show that we have. We have a group chat behind the scenes, and about a minute or two before Campana scored, the text was put in the group chat that the standings now after Cincinnati's game went final had them in first place. Didn't last long. It took about 60 seconds after that text was sent for Campana to score, and luck was back on our side, and we go back top of the table in that supporter shield race, which was a lot of fun to see. And maybe one of the unsung heroes, not unsung though by Tata Martino, unsung maybe by the rest of the fans, maybe it shouldn't be unsung, is Toto Avilés. He was immense at center back, and Tata made sure to point out that the young center back is really starting to come into his own now, anchoring that back line.
Yeah, no, he's a player that's grown in stature in a short space of time. I think he didn't struggle at first, but it was an adjustment for him. But I'm definitely impressed by his recent performances. He's a player that has all the capacity physically. He's built perfectly for a centre half. He's tall, he's strong, he can move quite quickly for a centre half over a short distance, and he's starting to be more commanding now, and he's really establishing himself as one of the main centre halves in the team. So it's exciting to see him develop as a player. He's so young, and he's got so much potential. So I hope he keeps up this form, because it's important to have at least one centre half who's ever present in the team, that shows that leadership. And for the back line, it's so important to have that consistency, and I think he's starting to show that now.
And for the back line, it's also important to have great goalkeeping. And there was some heat that came Drake Callender's way during that little stretch where the team was conceding early. He had a couple of mistakes playing the ball out of the back, but time and time again, he always shows his ability just for pure shot stopping, and that's never been a question for Drake. To now have those couple of clean sheets back-to-back, and we talked a bit about it earlier, to have those two clean sheets back-to-back, you as a defender, yourself, you see that zero kept there, it means a lot mentally, but for a goalkeeper now, to see those two clean sheets, what does that do for his world of confidence?
No, absolutely, it will do him the world of confidence, and it's funny because with Drake, he has made a couple of errors in recent weeks, but we know how talented he is as a shot stopper, and as a technical goalkeeper. But what I like most about him is that he doesn't shy away even after he will make an error. As a manager, for me, I would prefer to take a goalkeeper that tries to play the same way, no matter the outcome, because that eventually, over a certain amount of games over the course of a season, he will only improve, and it's normal to have dips. He's been outstanding. He's had a meteoric rise since he's come into the team, and I'm just super impressed by his mentality overall, to deal with those setbacks and come back stronger.
And Kieran had a chance to catch up with Drake Callender here tonight on Football Fiesta Night.
All right, guys, I'm here with Drake Callender. Drake, first of all, thanks for taking the time. We won't keep you long. We know you got all the fans to go and see. First of all, how did you find today, and what does it mean to you as a player to get to interact with the fans on a more personal level, and they get to come and see training and see how you guys operate on a daily basis.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Today was great. I mean, normally when we see the fans, it's game day. You're focused on the game. But today, of course, you're focused on training, but it's a little more relaxed. You can say hi to the fans. You can wave. You can interact with them. So it's great to have them out here and to be able to share training with them.
Amazing. And obviously, we know that how passionate the Miami fans are. If you could pick one thing that's your favorite thing about the Miami fans, what would it be?
Win or lose, they're with us. I think that's always been a theme my entire time here. They've always supported us through the ups and downs, and whenever we go out into the field, to have that unconditional support has been amazing.
Amazing. And then on a personal level, man, it's been amazing to see you rise into the #1 spot over such a short period. Did you expect it to be as quick as it was?
I mean, I was kind of ready for my opportunity. As a goalkeeper, we can have long careers, but to be this young in terms of goalkeeper age and to be, playing this many games is a huge honor, and grateful for that. And I guess things happened how they did, but every time I step on the pitch, I try and do my best and represent the club the best that I can.
So Drake, finally, I know you must be still doing your meditation yoga days after training. One question, have you managed to get Suarez or Messi involved yet in any of those sessions?
Yeah, as of lately we haven't, because our tactic space has been, they added seats and chairs, so the space is a little bit different. But I think the intention behind building something with your team, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through barbecues, whether it's through having lunch together, I think that's the intention there, and everyone seems to be bonding pretty well.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, man.
Thanks,
Appreciate you. We'll let you get back to your fans.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's great to hear from Drake, and especially on this night, Football Fiesta night. Just to give you a sense of what's going on here at Chase Stadium for the season ticket holders, it's essentially it's an open training, yes, but a lot built around that. You get to take a picture with Messi's 8th Ballon d'Or. You get to there's stations set up to play EAFC 2024. There's plenty going on here at the stadium, and just getting more and more instances for the fans to grow closer to this team here. And I'm sure you've been a part of nights like this on the player side. Of course, how important is it to have an open training like this so you can continue to just let the fans in and let them behind the curtain so they can continue to build that relationship?
I think it's really important, and it's actually really enjoyable for the players, because fans don't really get to see what we do in training a lot of the time. And at the moment there's a lot of games, so you probably won't get to see them do too much in training, but it's always nice for the fans to see, and they get to see a different side of the players. On game days, more often than not, it's serious stuff. In training, there's room to banter with your teammates a little bit, and get that team camaraderie, and that will be great for the fans to see that. You get to see the players' characters a little bit more. I always really enjoyed the fan days, so I'm excited to see this today.
And I'm sure the coaches take it a little bit easier on you when the fans are around, or no?
No, actually they make it worse. They make you do sprints at the end if you lose.
No, it's going to be a fun time. It always is here when the fans are involved at Inter Miami, and hope the fun continues, because this weekend on the road against Vancouver, a chance for 10 unbeaten. It's not an easy trip. It's geographically the furthest trip that Inter Miami can make, from South Florida to northwestern Canada. So it's a haul, but it's right now against a team in Vancouver that's winless in their last 5. At one point, they were first or second in the West. They've fallen back to the pack now and 7th in the West. They're struggling to find their footing, and it's just another opportunity against a team struggling for Inter Miami to just come in, announce themselves, get in, get out, 3 points, get that win streak, or the unbeaten streak, I should say, to 10.
Absolutely. Listen, to go 10 games unbeaten in any league is not an easy thing to do. And actually, once you get to that kind of like 7-8 unbeaten run, I've been there before, it becomes your motivation almost, and you want to see how far you can go. So the team will definitely be feeling very confident right now. They are in the groove, and they want to keep that momentum going. Especially now we are really in the thick of the season now, and it's time for them to kick on. Cincinnati are still there hovering around, and they'll want to push off from here. So give themselves a little bit of breathing room before players have to go away, and now's the time to really get that cushion in.
Again, that game this Saturday at 10:30 Eastern Time on the road against Vancouver. That's going to be it for us here. We're going to go enjoy the rest of Football Fiesta Night ourselves. We thank you for joining us once again here on the Inter Miami Weekly Show. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can be alerted every single week when we come out on YouTube.